Every year begins with hope, new goals, new plans, new promises to finally change. But for millions of people, the story repeats itself. The same routine continues, the same problems return, the same thoughts fill the mind every morning. Days turn into weeks, weeks turn into months, and suddenly another year passes without the life they once imagined. This quiet feeling of being stuck has become normal for many people, not because they are lazy, not because they lack dreams, but because they were never shown how a real reset actually works. Most people believe a life reset requires something big, a dramatic decision, a perfect plan, a burst of motivation that changes everything overnight. But real change rarely works that way. In reality, the people who completely transform their lives usually start with something much smaller and much quieter. A few small shifts in thinking, a few daily habits that slowly rebuild focus, discipline, and direction. Over time, those small changes begin to reshape an entire life. Right now, many people are living on autopilot. Wake up, check the phone, scroll through endless information, rush through the day, feel tired, go to sleep, and repeat the same cycle again tomorrow. It feels busy, it feels productive, but deep down there is a growing sense that nothing is actually moving forward. This cycle slowly drains motivation and clarity, and the longer it continues, the harder it feels to break free. What many people don't realize is that the human mind naturally adapts to routines, even unhealthy ones. The brain becomes comfortable with patterns, even if those patterns lead nowhere. That is why so many people struggle when they try to change everything at once. They attempt to completely rebuild their life in a single moment. New routines, new habits, new goals, new identity. The pressure becomes overwhelming. Within weeks, the old habits quietly return, motivation fades, and the reset fails before it truly begins. But a true reset does not demand perfection. It demands awareness. It begins the moment someone honestly looks at their current life and decides that continuing in the same direction is no longer acceptable. That moment is powerful, because from that point forward, every small decision starts shaping a different future. History quietly shows this pattern again and again. Many of the most disciplined thinkers, philosophers, and leaders did not suddenly wake up one day with perfect clarity. They rebuilt their lives step by step. One habit, one decision, one shift in thinking at a time. The ancient Stoic philosophers spoke often about this idea. They believed that life rarely changes through sudden bursts of emotion. It changes through small daily actions that slowly strengthen the mind and character. Over time, those actions build a kind of inner stability that makes external chaos easier to handle. And once that stability exists, a person begins to see life differently. Problems become challenges instead of obstacles. Distractions lose their power. Focus becomes stronger, and slowly the direction of life begins to shift. In the modern world, this wisdom has become more important than ever. Distractions are everywhere. Social media feeds are designed to capture attention for hours. Notifications constantly interrupt deep thinking. Information overload fills the mind with endless opinions, advice, and noise. Many people feel mentally exhausted without understanding why. Their attention is scattered across hundreds of small distractions every day. Without realizing it, their mental energy slowly disappears. Resetting life often begins by reclaiming that energy. When attention becomes focused again, clarity returns. And when clarity returns, decisions become easier. This is why many powerful life changes actually start with surprisingly simple actions: cleaning a cluttered environment, reducing digital distractions, creating a quiet moment to think clearly for the first time in weeks or even months. These small actions may appear insignificant, but they trigger a powerful chain reaction in the mind. Focus improves, stress decreases, confidence slowly returns, and once that process begins, real transformation becomes possible. Another important truth is that motivation alone rarely creates lasting change. Motivation is temporary. It rises and falls depending on mood, environment, and circumstances. Discipline, however, works differently. Discipline grows from small repeated actions. Each time a person keeps a small promise to themselves, the brain begins to trust that effort again. That trust becomes momentum. momentum becomes consistency, and consistency slowly reshapes identity. At that point, change stops feeling forced. It becomes natural. A real-life reset is not about becoming a completely different person overnight. It is about slowly becoming the version of yourself that was always possible but never fully developed. In this video, 7 powerful yet simple ways to reset your life in 2026 will be explored. These ideas are not complicated theories or unrealistic routines. They are practical shifts inspired by psychology, human behavior research, and the timeless principles of Stoic philosophy. Each step focuses on one specific area that influences how people think, act, and build their future. Some of these ideas may seem surprisingly simple at first, but their real power appears when they are applied consistently. Together they create a foundation that helps rebuild focus, discipline, and direction. Step by step, they show how a person can move from feeling stuck to feeling in control again. By the end of this video, you will understand why most attempts to change fail and how small strategic adjustments can quietly reset your entire life path. You will discover how clearing mental and physical clutter can immediately improve clarity, how controlling attention can protect your energy, and how building even one strong habit can start transforming your identity. Most importantly, the final step reveals a deeper shift that changes how you see yourself and the direction your life is moving. That final idea is often overlooked, yet it is the one that turns temporary improvement into lasting transformation. Stay with this video until the end because that final step connects everything together. Without it, most life changes remain temporary. With it, even the smallest habits can begin creating powerful long-term results. If you are ready to step out of the same repeating cycle and start building a stronger, clearer version of your life, then you are in the right place. Welcome to Stoic Wisdom Hub, a place where psychology, philosophy, and practical self-improvement come together to help you think better, live with more discipline, and build a stronger mindset for the modern world. If you enjoy content that helps you grow mentally and regain control over your life direction, make sure to subscribe to the channel and join a community that is focused on becoming wiser, calmer, and stronger every single day. A true reset begins with a moment of honesty that many people avoid for years. Life slowly becomes a routine that feels normal even when it is not working anymore. Days repeat themselves. The same habits continue. The same frustrations appear again and again. Yet many people keep telling themselves that things will eventually change on their own. They wait for the perfect moment, the right opportunity, or a sudden wave of motivation. But the uncomfortable truth is that life rarely changes until a person is willing to admit that the current direction is not leading anywhere meaningful. This is the first mindset shift, accepting that the old way of living is no longer working. It is not a moment of weakness. It is a moment of clarity. Most people stay stuck, not because they lack intelligence or ability, but because they refuse to face this simple reality. They protect their comfort instead of questioning it. They keep repeating routines that quietly drain their time, their energy, and their potential. A real reset begins the moment someone stops pretending that everything is fine and instead looks directly at their life as it truly is. This honesty can feel uncomfortable at first. It can feel like admitting defeat. But in reality, it is the starting point of every meaningful transformation. When a person finally acknowledges that the current direction is not working, a new question appears naturally. If nothing changes, where will this life be in 5 years? The mind often avoids thinking about the future in this way because the answer can be unsettling. If the same habits continue, the same results will continue. The same frustrations will grow stronger. The same missed opportunities will accumulate. This single question creates urgency. It forces the mind to see time clearly. 5 years is not a distant future. It arrives faster than most people expect. And once a person truly understands where their current path is leading, the desire to reset becomes much stronger. Suddenly the small daily decisions feel more important. Suddenly the idea of changing direction no longer feels optional. It feels necessary. Once that moment of honesty happens, the next shift becomes easier to understand. A large part of feeling stuck comes from constant mental and physical clutter. Modern life surrounds people with endless distractions. Notifications appear every few minutes. Messages demand attention. Social media feeds offer an endless stream of information and opinions. News updates arrive constantly. Even when a person is trying to focus, their mind is quietly being pulled in multiple directions. Over time, this constant noise creates a fog in the mind. Thinking becomes scattered. Attention becomes weaker. Simple decisions feel more difficult than they should be. Many people believe they lack discipline when in reality, their environment is simply overloaded with distractions. Clearing clutter is one of the fastest ways to reset mental clarity. This does not require extreme changes. It begins with small actions that remove unnecessary noise from daily life. Cleaning a physical space can have a surprisingly powerful effect on the mind. A desk filled with clutter creates visual stress that slowly drains mental energy. When the space becomes clean and organized, the mind feels calmer and more focused. The same principle applies to digital spaces. Many people carry hundreds of apps on their phones that constantly compete for attention. Every notification interrupts concentration and pulls the brain into a different direction. Removing useless apps or turning off unnecessary notifications immediately reduces this pressure. Reducing time on social media can also create a powerful shift in awareness. Instead of constantly comparing life to carefully edited online images, the mind begins to focus on real goals again. When the noise becomes quieter, something interesting happens. Thoughts become clearer. Focus returns. Tasks that once felt overwhelming start to feel manageable again. This is why small actions that remove clutter often create a strong sense of relief. The brain finally has room to think. As mental clarity improves, the next area that begins shaping a life reset is the daily routine. Many people depend on motivation to make changes. They wait until they feel inspired, energized, or ready to begin something new. But motivation is unpredictable. Some days it appears naturally, other days it disappears completely. When life depends on motivation alone, progress becomes inconsistent. Routines solve this problem. A routine removes the need to constantly decide what to do next. It creates a structure that guides behavior even when motivation is low. Many successful individuals rely heavily on routines because they understand that discipline grows from repetition, not emotion. Waking up earlier is often one of the first habits that begins shifting a daily rhythm. Early mornings provide something rare in modern life: quiet time. Before the world becomes busy, the mind has space to think clearly. Even a small amount of physical movement in the morning can change the entire energy of the day. Exercise improves blood flow, increases alertness, and releases chemicals in the brain that support focus and emotional stability. It does not require extreme workouts or long sessions in a gym. A simple walk, stretching, or light activity can create a noticeable difference. Planning the day also plays an important role. Without a plan, the day often becomes controlled by distractions, urgent messages, or random tasks that appear unexpectedly. When a person writes down a few important priorities at the start of the day, attention becomes more directed. The brain begins focusing on meaningful progress instead of reacting to every new demand. Over time, these small routines become automatic. They create stability that slowly replaces chaos. Energy becomes more consistent, focus becomes stronger, and the feeling of drifting through the day begins to disappear. As routines improve, attention naturally turns toward the inner world of thoughts. The mind is one of the most powerful forces shaping human experience. Every decision, every reaction, and every action begins with a thought. Yet many people rarely examine what is happening inside their own minds. Thoughts appear automatically, often repeating the same patterns every day. Negative beliefs quietly influence behavior without being questioned. A person may believe they are not capable, not disciplined enough, or not lucky enough to succeed. These thoughts can repeat for years until they begin to feel like facts instead of temporary mental habits. Ancient Stoic philosophers placed great importance on observing and guiding the mind. They believed that external events are often outside human control, but the interpretation of those events remains within personal control. In other words, the way a person thinks about a situation often determines how they experience it. Journaling became one of the tools used by Stoic thinkers to improve self-awareness. Writing thoughts down on paper creates distance from them. Instead of being trapped inside constant mental noise, a person begins observing their own thinking patterns more clearly. Reflection allows questions to appear. Is this belief actually true? Is this thought helping or harming progress? Quiet thinking also plays an important role in strengthening awareness. In a world filled with constant stimulation, silence can feel unusual. Yet moments of silence allow deeper thoughts to surface. They allow a person to process experiences, emotions, and decisions without interruption. When someone regularly creates time to observe their own mind, negative thought patterns slowly lose their power. They become visible instead of hidden. And once a thought is visible, it can be challenged and replaced with something stronger. As the mind becomes clearer, another important shift begins to reveal itself. Many people feel exhausted, not because they are working too hard, but because their energy is being drained by countless small leaks throughout the day. These energy leaks often go unnoticed because they have become normal parts of life. Toxic relationships can slowly drain emotional strength. Constant arguments, negativity, or criticism create tension that lingers long after the interaction ends. Endless scrolling on digital platforms consumes attention without providing real value. Hours disappear without producing progress or satisfaction. Constant notifications interrupt concentration repeatedly, forcing the brain to restart tasks again and again. Each interruption may seem small, but together they create significant mental fatigue. Protecting energy becomes a crucial part of resetting life. This does not mean avoiding all challenges or responsibilities. It means recognizing which activities support growth and which ones quietly drain motivation. Sometimes protecting energy requires creating distance from negative influences. Sometimes it requires setting boundaries with technology. Taking regular breaks from digital stimulation can reset mental focus in powerful ways. Even short periods without screens allow the brain to recover from constant input. As these energy leaks begin to close, many people notice something surprising. They feel more motivated without forcing themselves. They feel more capable of focusing on meaningful tasks. Their emotional balance improves. This change happens because the mind finally has enough energy to engage fully with life again. With stronger energy and clearer focus, the next principle of life reset becomes easier to understand. Many people attempt to change everything at once when they decide to improve their lives. They create long lists of new habits, strict schedules, and ambitious goals. At first, this burst of enthusiasm feels exciting, but within weeks the effort becomes overwhelming. The brain struggles to maintain too many changes simultaneously. Eventually, the system collapses and old habits return. A more effective strategy is surprisingly simple. Change one habit. Focus on building a single, powerful routine that gradually becomes part of daily life. When attention is concentrated on one habit, the chances of success increase dramatically. Reading a few pages every day can slowly expand knowledge and perspective. Walking regularly can improve both physical health and mental clarity. Journaling can deepen self-awareness and emotional stability. Learning a skill for a short period each day can gradually open new opportunities. The key principle behind this approach is consistency. Small actions repeated every day eventually create significant results. Intensity may produce short bursts of progress, but consistency creates lasting transformation. When a habit becomes stable, it naturally strengthens confidence. The brain begins to recognize that change is possible. From this point forward, additional habits can be added slowly without overwhelming the system. As these habits accumulate, something deeper begins to shift inside a person. Identity starts to evolve. Identity is the story a person tells themselves about who they are. This internal story influences behavior more than most people realize. Someone who believes they are disorganized will naturally act in ways that confirm that belief. Someone who believes they lack discipline will often give up quickly when challenges appear. Changing behavior without changing identity often creates conflict. The mind tries to return to the familiar version of itself, reinventing identity becomes the deepest level of life reset. Instead of saying, "I want to improve my life," the inner story begins to change. The language becomes different. I am becoming someone who values discipline. I am becoming someone who protects focus. I am becoming someone who builds strong habits. These statements may appear simple, yet they influence behavior in powerful ways. When a person begins identifying with positive traits, their decisions gradually align with that identity. A disciplined person naturally follows routines. A focused person naturally limits distractions. Behavior begins reinforcing identity, and identity reinforces behavior. This cycle creates momentum that becomes stronger over time. Instead of forcing change, a person begins living in alignment with the person they are becoming. The transformation feels more natural and stable. Life no longer feels like a constant struggle against old habits. It begins to feel like a gradual movement toward a clearer and stronger version of oneself. Change rarely arrives with a loud announcement. It usually begins quietly, with a single decision that most people around you may never notice. A life reset does not happen in one dramatic moment. It grows through small choices that slowly move your direction forward. The truth is simple but powerful. Your life does not reset in a single day. One morning will not magically erase every mistake, every distraction, or every bad habit. But one decision can start a completely new path. A decision to think more clearly, a decision to protect your time, a decision to stop repeating the same patterns that have been holding you back. Those small decisions may feel insignificant at first, yet over time they shape your future in ways that are impossible to ignore. Look ahead for a moment and think about the next 6 months. 6 months from now, your life will still be moving forward, whether you make changes or not. Time never pauses. The days will continue passing. The weeks will continue stacking together. The real question is not whether time will move forward. The question is who you will become while it does. 6 months from now, you could still be living the same routine, facing the same frustrations, and telling yourself the same excuses that nothing ever changes. Or 6 months from now, you could be standing in a completely different place mentally, emotionally, and physically, more focused, more disciplined, more aware of the direction your life is taking. That difference begins with the decisions you make today. Every reset starts small. It begins the moment someone stops waiting for the perfect time and starts acting with intention. It begins when a person decides to remove the noise that is distracting their mind, when they decide to build one strong habit instead of chasing many weak ones, when they begin observing their thoughts instead of being controlled by them, when they choose to protect their energy instead of giving it away to things that bring no real value. These choices may appear simple from the outside, but inside they create a powerful shift. They slowly build a mindset that is calm, disciplined, and focused on growth. Over time, that mindset changes how a person reacts to challenges, how they manage their time, and how they build their future. The most powerful truth about resetting your life is that the opportunity always exists, no matter how many mistakes were made in the past, no matter how long a person has felt stuck. The ability to choose a new direction is always available in the present moment. The past may shape experience, but it does not control the next decision. That decision belongs to you, and once that decision is made, the path forward begins to change, step by step, habit by habit, thought by thought. Before this video ends, take a moment to reflect on your own life right now. Out of everything discussed today, which part of your life needs a reset the most? Maybe it is your routine, maybe it is your focus, maybe it is the distractions that are constantly stealing your attention, or maybe it is the way you see yourself and the beliefs you have been carrying for years. Whatever it is, recognizing it is already the first step toward change. Now the next step is action. So here is a question for you. If you could reset one thing in your life right now, what would it be? Share your answer in the comments below. Your response might inspire someone else who is also trying to change their direction. This community grows stronger when people share their thoughts and experiences. If you found value in this video and you want more content about psychology, self-improvement, and timeless Stoic wisdom that helps you think clearly and live with stronger discipline, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Also take a second to like this video and share it with someone who might need a fresh start in their life. Sometimes one idea at the right moment can completely change the way a person sees their future. Thank you for watching, and remember this: a better life does not appear by accident. It is built one decision at a time, and the next decision begins today.